someone went and dug up our boy, the original singer of Pantera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this guy.
That's him then.
What were you saying, Dryden? Sorry.
I was going to say someone dug up our boy Dimebag.
Yeah, they dug him up and buried him in Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
So how awesome would that be? That'd be super dope.
Like zombie dime.
Zombie Dimebag. He'd still be fucking amazing. Even if he drank blood and ate people's faces. So
I think we need a Pantera Dolly mashup.
Pantera Dolly matchup? Oh yeah. What could you imagine like if Pantera was still like they're like, you guys, for the 40th anniversary of fucking Hostile,
yeah,
we got Dolly Parton.
Yeah. She's gonna be singing the background vocals on this shit.
Fucking Hostile.
Yeah.
She's like, Dolly Parton comes out and she's like, nothing makes me more fucking hostile than having to work 9 to 5.
Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living, Daddy.
Fucking hostile!
Anyway,
I'm seeing, Dustin, you got it going, man. You know exactly what to do.
Yeah. So this is Terry Glaze, the original vocalist of Pantera. And he recently did an interview, and there's a lot here, but let's talk about it because there's some good stuff here. In a new interview with Anthony Bryant of the Hair Metal Guru, Terrence Lee, Terry Glaze, the original voice of Pantera, spoke about his exit from the legendary metal band prior to the arrival of Phil Anselmo. Glaze was the frontman of Pantera during the band's early 80s party metal phase and sang on the band's first 3 albums. After leaving Pantera, Glaze formed the band Lord Tracy.
Huh.
I did not know that. Weird, wild stuff. That was my Johnny Carson impression. Weird, wild stuff. Asked what caused him to depart Pantera. I'm not exactly sure that I remember. It was just life, just things, and you might have a disagreement on how to proceed in certain ways, but it was just basically that. Reflecting on the last gig he played as a member of Pantera, Glaze said, I think we were playing in Wichita Falls maybe, and it was so weird. It was just weird. We were playing, and it was a great show, and then just bye. I remember driving home by myself in my truck and just thinking, wow, there wasn't any effort by us to solve it. It was just, this is the way it's going to be, and so I took the next step.
So my problem with this is he didn't Dave Mustaine it.
Yeah.
He was like, I just laughed the band, He
should have gone great. Yeah,
I wrote this song. I wrote this song.
It should be like, they wouldn't be famous if it wasn't for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
being the champion for justice.
I actually wrote half of Vulgar Display of Power.
Exactly.
And Cowboys. I was just thinking how it is interesting though, because they're like, what caused you to depart Pantera? And then he's basically like, well, they fired me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not sure that I remember. And he's like, well, then we did a gig, and they were just like, okay, bye.
Bye. And then they called Pantera. Metallica called Pantera and said, how do we get rid of a lead singer? They're like, oh yeah.
They're like, send him on a Greyhound, buy him a Greyhound ticket. Accuse him of wrecking your van.
Yeah, exactly.
And kick his dog.
Yeah, kick his dog. That's right.
Asked by Brian if he could point to any specific issue that caused him to want to leave Pantera, Glaze said, well, I don't know, but it wasn't music. It wasn't musical direction. It wasn't anything like that because I loved playing in the band. Regarding what he thought of Pantera's heavier, more aggressive musical direction in the 1990s Cowboys from Hell album, Terry said, I didn't really know what the other bands were doing when I was in Lord Tracy and Deaf Gods came out in 89. Pantera's record came out around the same time. We bumped into each other out on the road, and I was just happy that we were both getting to do what we wanted to do. And that's really when I became aware of what was going on. So that's Cowboys from Hell and Deaf Gods. We go back sometime after that. Lord Tracy's playing the basement in Dallas. Dimebag shows up, gets on stage. It was a blast. He comes out, we go out. He's got a limo and he's got a cassette, and he starts playing me the tracks from the next Pantera record. And he plays me Mouth for War. Me and him in the back seat after the gig, and he's sitting there air guitaring it, and he goes, Van Halen, right? And that's probably my favorite song, Mouth for War. But I just remember Daryl doing that, and it was so cool.
And then I said, that was my song.
I said, wait a minute. Those are my riffs.
Those are my riffs.
I screamed like that once. That's my vocals. Glaze went on to say that he was happy to see his former bandmates doing well, even though they were no longer playing together. There's plenty of room for all kinds of art, he explained. And so thank goodness that everybody doesn't like the same thing and we all like different things and there's something for everybody. So it was great. They're out there doing it. I'm out there doing it. I feel so lucky. I don't know if he feels as lucky as he wants to make people believe because no one's ever heard of Lord Tracy. But Pantera went on to be one of the biggest metal bands of the 90s and beyond. So, but I do like his attitude. He does seem like a very cool dude.
I always wonder that. You got to be like,
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah.
What were we saying, Joey?
I was just going to bring up the whole, like, just the class act he is here compared to other bands.
Our
Yeah.
And that's when I karate chopped Dimebag in the throat.
Being the champion for justice.
And I said, those are my songs, damn you. You need to fire Vinny. Fuck Vinny. He
Gilly
sucks.
Dan wrote it first.
I wrote the song first.
During the same chat, Glaze reflected on Dimebag's 2004 death. The Pantera guitarist was murdered while on stage at the El Rosa Villa in Columbus, Ohio. Shooting happened December 2004, only moments after Dimebag's then band Damage Plan took the stage. Regarding how he found out about Daryl's passing, Terry said, I was here at home. I was asleep. The phone rings. It's my best friend, Buddy Blaze. Terry Glaze and Buddy Blaze. That's
That's nice.
Anyway, he says, turn on your whatever. And my reaction was one of disbelief. A couple days later, I went to the funeral. Daryl's buried in the same cemetery that my grandparents and my father-in-law are buried. So I go to that cemetery all the time. My grandparents are here. My father-in-law's here. Daryl's over here. But I go to the service and it's packed with everybody. And I'm just kind of watching. It was me and Buddy and Tommy Bradford, the original Pantera bass player. And I was in disbelief. I go to the celebration that night. I see everybody there still in disbelief. The next morning or next day, I go back, and it didn't really hit me until I saw the dirt. And that's when I felt this was unreal. But that's what I remember. 2.5 years ago, Terry called Pantera's current comeback a good thing, saying that it's a great way to celebrate the music of the Texan metalers. Glaze made his comments while speaking to Eon Music. On meeting and forming a band with Diamond Vinny, Terry said, we wanted to play with the best drummer we could find, and the best drummer in our school was Vince Abbott. So we got together and jammed, and we tried to get him to play with us. The agreement was that we would take his little brother, Daryl, who was in middle school. We weren't really interested in a young kid in middle school, but we reluctantly agreed. Thank goodness we were lucky enough to do that. Going on to talk about his desire to see the band's early output reissued, and this is where I thought part that I thought was interesting because Rex comments on this a little bit. Going on to talk about his desire to see the band's early output reissued, 1983's Metal Magic, 1984's Project in the Jungle, and 1985's I Am the Night, he said, I think it would be a great thing for everybody to get to hear more Daryl. So that's where I stand with it. It would be amazing. You could do a big box with everything. It would just be cool. He continued, you see them all over the planet. I bought copies of the CDs that are pressed out that are not legal, bootlegs, but that's the only way to get copies of all this stuff now. When Eon Music noted that Pantera bassist Rex Brown had said the brothers were dead against any re-release of those early albums in a 2021 interview with the site, Terry countered, as far as what the band with the brothers, how they felt, that comes up even to this day, doesn't it? So, people change their minds and business opportunities happen. And what are you going to do? Basically, if Vinny and Daryl were alive, that ain't happening. But But it sounds like he's kind of like, oh, maybe they should do it because I might make a couple bucks from that.
Well, Pantera wouldn't be touring if those brothers were alive right now, too.
Yeah, actually, I think they would. I think they would have. I think they would have squashed the beef and gotten back together if they were still alive. Yeah, because they were all kind of talking about it before Diamond Vinny died here and there. But like once Dime was killed, that's when it was like, then Vinny was like, nope, fuck Phil. You know what I mean? That's when it got real sour. But while Dime was still alive, I mean, I don't blame Vinny, but when asked about his thoughts on the recent Pantera's current comeback tour featuring Brown and surviving vocalist Phil Anselmo alongside guitarist Zach Wild and drummer Charlie Benatti, Terry said, I just feel kind of the same way I feel about Van Halen. It would be difficult for me to think that was Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen. And Alex is still alive. Imagine if Eddie and Alex are gone and then it was Van Halen. It's just hard for us old people. He continued, but man, more power to everybody to get to celebrate the music and get together and have fellowship. I especially think about all the young people who never got to see them. Now they finally get to go out and celebrate those songs. That means so much to them, and that music means so much to a lot of people around the whole planet. So more power to them to celebrate music. Anything that gets people out live together for rock and roll. That's a good thing. Live together for rock and roll. That's a good thing. In 2021, Brown dismissed the first 3 Pantera albums, telling Eon Music it was with addition of Anselmo that the Pantera story really began. The old singer, it was going nowhere really quick, Rex said. He just was not on the same wavelength as the 3 of us. The dude's never had a job in his life. I see him shooting his mouth off in some of these magazines, and it's like, dude, you were in the band for fucking 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Now you're wanting to claim the fame 35 years later. Sorry, pal, you missed the boat. So I don't want to give any credit where it's fucking undue, Once we got Philip in the band, it developed into something else, and that was the Pantera that we know now, and that's why we never talk about those old records. So
Interesting.
that's pretty much the size of it, I believe.
That's
And
funny
that's it.
Rick said that. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
He's right though. It's like I mean, it seems like Terry's like humble about it. It doesn't seem like he's really trying to be a dick, but I also understand where Rex is coming from. It's like, dude, you were in the band for 3 fucking years. You
also, yeah, and the band didn't go anywhere with you at the front of it.
yeah, like you didn't. Yeah,
To be
Yeah,
fair, though, they
exactly.
were what, in high school?
Yeah, they were kids.
yeah.
That's true. That's
You know
true.
what I mean? So, like, part of it's that too.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I thought that there was so much good stuff in there. Like, I thought it was interesting where he said the reason the way they formed Pantera was like they wanted the best drummer, and Vinny was the best drummer. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll only play with you if you let my brother come play too." And they're like, all right. But his brother's in middle school, and they're like, "Fuck, now we gotta have the middle schooler. God damn it!"
Yeah.
But turns out the middle schooler is like this amazing fucking guitar player who's like winning all the. He's like banned from the guitar contest in Texas because he won them all.